I got curly hair. If anyone knows, you know what it's just. The thing with straight hair is you always know what your hair is going to look like. When you got curly hair, you never know. I try and straighten it, but it's useless. Okay. Okay, so I'm on YouTube also. That's where I save all the lives, and also all of our podcasts are saved on YouTube. Anyway, I'm just going to introduce myself quickly before we get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids, the boot camp courses. Or you can look into coaching. There's a huge wait list for that right now. I've got to look at that today, actually. And also the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube, or my daughter does. She does all that stuff. And the podcast we do every Tuesday and Thursday. Just a sec. Let me think. Yeah, and I was just trying to think of something. There was something else I was going to mention. Never mind. Okay. Hi, Abby from New Zealand. Wanting to know how you would deal with 4.5-year-old son who is extreme fussy eater. I can't really talk about nutrition. I've got a few hints and tips, but I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to discuss nutrition. So I'm always hesitant to talk about that. But I will tell you what I did with my kids, okay? One of my kids was a fussier eater than the other. But I knew what my kids liked, and I tended to cook around that. But I put cheese sauce on everything, and I was sneaky. I always had healthy stuff thrown into everything. So cheese sauce wasn't just cheese and milk and butter and salt and pepper. It had all sorts of other stuff thrown in. So I was very good at sneaking healthy stuff into whatever, cheese sauce or whatever I was making. Like pancakes is a really easy one to sneak stuff into. Also pizzas. The first time my son had pizza out somewhere else, he said, he was really little, and he said, "Mommy, the sauce was really weird. It was red." Because my sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it, because I made everything from scratch. Also my pizza dough, my bread, all my buns, everything I made, from scratch, just so I could hide stuff in it. So that's what I did. You do what you got to do to get food into your kids, right? And I was kind of a health food nut, so I didn't like them to have junk. So I hate cooking. So I had to make everything from scratch. Which was a nightmare. I don't cook anymore. I hate it. God, I hate it. I cook with hate. They say you should cook with love. I cook with hate, but I love cleaning. So there you go. Okay. Oh, thanks, Alicia. I appreciate your support. One of my clients asked me the other day, they said, "How do you know all this stuff?" And I said, really, looking back, and there's a lot I don't know about most things, obviously. But kids always kind of came easy to me. I was always trying to figure myself out when I was a little kid. I can remember that. I can remember trying to think, why would I do that? I know my mom wouldn't do this. Why would I do that? And then I thought, oh yeah, because I'm 5. Like I remember thinking like that. Isn't that weird? But we all have stuff that comes easily to us, and most things don't. But we all tend to have something that comes easily to us, right? Kids I just kind of get them. That's all. But a whole bunch of stuff I don't get. So there you go. It's not an overall wisdom thing. It's just, this is my area. That's why I'm teaching it, right? And also, I don't know if everything I'm saying is perfect. I have no idea. It's just worked with all the hundreds of kids I've worked with and the troubled teens and everything. So it's all experience-based, right? So, I'm sure there's other things out there that might work too. So I'm just teach what I know through my own experience. I have no idea. I don't know anyone else out there. I don't know what they're teaching. Just from what people tell me, I hear, but that's it. Learned it all from kids. Okay. Should we expect caregivers like grandparents to discipline a 3-year-old? No, you're the leader. Everyone else is just bonus people. So like I'm a grandparent. I'm not the leader. I'm just grandma. So it's a different role. I'm not her leader. Her parents are her leaders. And, but I'm, whatever. And if they were to say to me, look, can you do this with her? I'd go, absolutely. Your kid, your rules, right? So if they asked me to do a certain thing, I would do it, but it's all up to them. I remember years ago, I used to say, if you're dropping your kids off with someone else, don't micromanage them. Like if you're dropping your kids off at daycare or school, don't tell teachers or daycare workers how to deal with your kids. That's their job. I think grandparenting is a little bit different because it's personal and it's not my job, right? It's just I'm grandma. So I think it's a little bit different. But if you're dropping your kids off with anyone, or I think that's up. If you trust them to look after your kids, let them do what they do. Okay, you got a 12-week-old daughter. Yeah, it's a good time to start thinking about all this stuff. Like, what are you going to do in the future, right? So I'll just tell you my top 5 tips for the toddler stage. This is 18 to 35 months is the way I've broken it down. And before that, it's just redirection. So, and with a baby, here's my thing with babies, is if a baby cries, I pick them up. Can you spoil them with love? No, I don't think so. If a baby cries, I pick them up. I don't happen to think a baby cries for no reason. And if they're just crying because they want attention, they're going to get it from me, right? So that's just the way I treat babies. Now, if they start doing bad behaviors like hitting and that, they don't know yet. They're just learning. So I redirect. I just would go in really gentle. If let's say I'm holding a 10-month-old and they slap me across the face. My kids never did that, but if I had a kid who did that, I would just say, I'd hold their hand and I'd say no, and then I'd redirect. So no, and then redirect, up until they're about 16 months old. Then I start using consistent corrective actions. That's when they kind of are starting to understand right from wrong, and now you're using consequences. You just remove the fun from them, or them from the fun temporarily, just for a few minutes. But if you take a toy away that they've been hitting other kids with, I might put that one away for the rest of the day, or the rest of the visit with other kids. So you got to use your own judgment there. Anyways, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers, which I consider 16 to 35 months. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world, not your world. Like, you don't take them to the nail salon to connect with them. You go to the park and you roll down the hill with them. Okay, you enter their world. You be part of the play. Don't just sit back and watch it. Number 4, you discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. I know these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions is trending right now, but it's absolute crap. It's garbage. That's for you. That's not for a toddler. They're not listening to you. It goes one ear, not the other. They'll even parrot what you're saying. No, mommy, I know I shouldn't do it. I won't do it again. I know I was angry. I know. They're not listening. It's not, anyway, it's just garbage. Okay, and number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just learning. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just forming. They're going to do crazy stuff. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Can you figure that one out? Like, they're just learning, right? Okay, this is from Kayosuke. Sorry, it's on YouTube. Hello, I bought your toddler course and started my almost 3-year-old son on potty training. He's doing great so far. Good for you. Well, okay, he may be doing great, but I'm giving you the credit. You're the one doing it. You're the one teaching him, right? So good for you. Good for you. Whenever a client asks me, like, with coaching, and they say, thanks so much for everything. And I say, I did nothing. I'm just sitting here telling you what to do. You guys do all the work, right? Good for you. You should be very proud of yourself. It's a messy process, potty training. New baby home with 2.5-year-old. Suggestions? This is Tasha on Facebook. I have no suggestions. You are my least favorite client that I get in coaching. If you've got a toddler and a newborn, geez, so I can't always help you. Like, it's just physically draining. That toddler might resent the newborn. It's just going to be a rough patch, and I don't have a lot of advice. That transition time often just takes time. Also, moms sometimes have postpartum. They're tired. They're up throughout the night with a baby. Newborns are very demanding. Toddlers are very demanding. You see why it's my least favorite client? It's not that I don't like you personally. It's just the one I feel the least effective with. There you go. I feel the least effective when I've got a client with a 2-year-old and a newborn, because I'm obsessed with your results, and they are harder to get in that situation. Okay. Oh, good for you. This is Alyssa Baker on YouTube. Says, I'm starting to see the rainbow after the storm. Been following you for about 6 months. Good for you. You put in the work. Good for you. I love hearing that. I always say, in order to get to the rainbow, you got to go through the storm. To exercise your leadership and implement it, there's going to be some kickback. They're going to push back against you. It usually gets worse before it gets better. So good for you. You just got to keep following through. I don't teach. I teach discipline, I guess, but that's not what I'm all about. I'm about connecting with kids. When they feel connected to you and they trust you and you're fun is their love language, they don't tend to act out. Can't get my 4-year-old to poop in the toilet. Is it a boy? Usually a boy. Tried rewards, tried to make it fun, exciting, and he has to go because he will go. Okay, so he won't poop in the toilet. It's usually boys. I'll tell you why in a minute. Anyway, here's what I do. There's usually 3 reasons why they won't poop in the toilet. Number 1 is splashback, which explains why it's usually boys. There's more equipment hanging out down there that gets splashed, right? Number 2 is it might be cold. So that's another reason why boys, they got more equipment hanging out down there. So they might be getting colder. So that's another one. Because think about it. When they're in diapers, everything's nice and warm. And the third one is is hanging phobia. They don't like the feeling of it hanging there in midair and tugging on them when it's hanging there for a while. Do you know what I mean? So that's the 3 main reasons. So what I do is I just use a little porta potty and like a little kid's potty, and I put toilet paper in the bottom so they can feel something touching their bum, which is what they're used to doing when they're going in their pants, right? They can feel something touching their bum. There's no water to splash them. And also you might want to hike up the heat in the bathroom or put an Afghan or something around them to keep them a bit warmer. So, and by the way, if you've got a blanket around them and they finish pooping, I would turn my head when you open that blanket up. Just a little tip. I could sear off your eyelashes. Okay, sorry, I've got the giggles. I made myself laugh. Just a minute here. Okay. What if grandma lives with you? You're still the leader, you know, like, yeah, you're still the leader. Okay, here's how I feel about grandparenting. How your kids raise their kids, assuming there's no abuse, obviously, right? How your kids raise their kids is none of your business. They are not your children. They are your children's children. It's none of your business how your kids raise their kids. Now, if they ask you for advice, that's something different. I would never offer advice, okay? If they ask for advice, then you can maybe suggest something. But even then, you know, I'd be very careful with that. So yeah, none of your business how your kids raise their kids. The only time I would ever step in is if I was worried for my granddaughter's safety, which is not going to happen. But you know what I'm saying? They're not my kid. She's not my kid. I'm very aware of that. I love being a grandma, but she's not my kid. I absolutely adore her like she is. I love her as much as I love my kids, but she's not mine. Actually, they're no one's. They're not possessions, but you know what I mean. Oh, thanks, Pam. I appreciate your support. I saw something funny. Was it today or yesterday? I can't remember. Usually I get recognized a lot when I'm just out in public. And this little kid pointed to me and said, is that her? I didn't know kids knew who I was. Would have been about 4, maybe 5. Struck me as funny. Sorry, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Oh, I forgot to start the timer. Just a sec. Okay. Okay, how to handle a 3-year-old who just screams whenever you're trying to have a conversation, the two of you and your husband. Okay, I would put down, let me think now. There's a couple of ways of doing this. He's 3, so we could be on the behavior board, and I would put, you can't put no screaming, but you can put no interrupting when we're talking. But the problem with that is parents often tend to talk a lot when it's just the two of you. So like I told my kids, they knew never to interrupt me. If I'm on the phone, they would never have come near me. Or if I had friends over or we were out, even just talking in the street with someone, they would never interrupted. But if it was my husband and I talking, I wouldn't have minded them interrupting. They wouldn't have done it overly so, but you know what I mean? Like it's just a bit different. So yeah, I wonder, do you spend a lot of time with the kids playing with them and then you're having a sit down conversation where it's sort of a conversation, not just in passing? Then I might say, if we're sitting down, we've got a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and we're sitting down chatting, you could literally even put up a little Post-it note or something, say, you know, no interrupting at that time when we got the Post-it note. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's where I might start with a 3-year-old. So when this is up, you don't interrupt us, okay? So and if he does, you can have a consequence. So you can put down no interrupting when we've got the sign up. I hope I made that clear. In my head, it was clear, but sometimes I'll say something and I'll think, I don't know if that made any sense to anyone else. See what I'm saying? If you're just chatting all the time when you're home to your husband, you can't expect the kids not to interrupt. Sorry, I'm scrolling ahead. I got a lot of questions here, so I'm trying to. I always want to make sure that people are still here when I answer. That's why I scroll ahead. Because people come and go. It only looks like I've maybe got 100 people at a time, but by the time I finish all my live and all my platforms, I might have had 5,000 people, but there might only be 100. It's really weird. People come and go, so that's why it's hard to figure. And that's why I make sure you're still here. I don't want to answer your questions if you're not here. Okay, you got a 2.5-year-old pinching, so you're trying to take away fun. Yeah, you got to be quick with this stuff. So 2.5 pinching, so aggressive behavior. So every time they pinch, taking something away doesn't work. Do you talk too much about it? I'm wondering. It makes you look weak, and it takes away from the effectiveness. So if they pinch, I'd just say no, and then I'd maybe not. I don't like to use the word snub, but maybe take my attention away quickly. If they pinch, say no, and then I just sort of might go do the dishes or something. So I pull myself away so they won't get any attention. But don't let them keep doing it. The problem is that they get like muscle memory. If you keep letting them pinch and you go, no, pinch and no, pinch and no. So you prevent the future pinches. So if they go to pinch you again, you just take their hand, you just say no, but you don't look at them or talk to them. I think you're maybe talking a bit too much. That's my gut reaction. I could be wrong. Examples of consequences. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. It's at the very top, the free behavior board. There's examples of consequences there. But don't get caught up in what they are. Everyone thinks there's this perfect consequence. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just usually a chore, something little like wipe the table, sweep the kitchen, clean out the toothpaste in the bathroom sink. It could be anything simple, little. So that's not the point. The point is that it's just consistency. So... and they're doing a good deed. There is no perfect consequence. There's just perfect consistency, right? Someone said, great idea, thanks. I have no idea what I said. With that, maybe in regards to potty training, maybe that's what that was. Okay, having trouble coming up with consequences. A couple things they hate doing, usually all kids, is cleaning out sliding door tracks or shower tracks for a sliding glass door or whatever. They don't usually like doing that. That's one thing. Or cleaning the top of baseboards. Most kids don't like doing that. But also, even if they don't hate it, that's okay. They're still doing a good deed. You did something bad, now you replace it with a good deed. The first consequence, there's 2 consequences. It's explained in the free behavior board. The first consequence doesn't have to be something they hate. It's just doing a good deed. See, and people get caught up in what the consequence is. Don't do it. I wish there was a shorter word for consequence. I get tired of saying it. It's a mouthful. Okay, you got, I'm not going to read the whole question, but you said I have 2 boys, 4 and 5. I can't put them to sleep in their beds when I'm on their beds. I need to put them both to sleep by myself in that room. Okay, I'm just going to give some basic bedtime advice. If you've got 2 kids and they're in the same room and they're both like just keeping each other up, I work on one at a time. I literally would take the younger one usually, or the one that's causing the least amount of trouble. I take them in my room or some other room, just put a mattress on the floor and work on that other kid, okay? So you do one at a time. And then once you get that one sorted out, you could literally have them come out of the room and sleep in your room and then put the other one. You have to decide which one to take out first. And then there's a whole process and how we do bedtime battles. It's in 2 parts. The first part is, it's all in my courses in more detail, but the first part is to have a routine. And then once you say, that's it, lights out, good, bedtime, I've already read books and everything. And then you say, you stay in bed, good night, love you, all that. Leave the room. The first time they come out of their room, you say, I said it's bedtime, put them back in bed. If they're kicking and screaming, just one body part has to touch the mattress. You don't tuck them in or anything, and you don't stay in the room. You leave the room. Second time they come out, you walk them back to bed. You say one word this time. You say bedtime. Every time after that, you don't look at them or talk to them. You just slowly walk them back to bed. Move slow because you might have to do it 100 times. Just walk them back to bed, put them on the mattress, walk them back to bed. The thing is, they're young. You should be able to outdo them, outlast. think my mom subscribed to you because of me. Someone said that on YouTube. Oh, it's funny. Do you only have one thing you have a consequence for at a time? Oh, okay. Well, check out the free behavior board. You do one behavior per week, one battle per week. So you have 3 behavior boards by the end of 3 weeks. Each behavior board has one rule, so one behavior that you're dealing with. But after that, you go into, on the course is how you deal with everything afterwards. But that behavior board can have great results just on its own, and it's completely free. So check out my website. No spanking, even if removing the fun doesn't work. I don't promote spanking or anything, or yelling or anything. No. Yelling and all that, emotions can get the better of parents and they'll resort to yelling or spanking. But if you do, I don't condone it, but if you do, that it makes you look almost like you're out of control. It's a fear-based thing. Your anger gets the better of you, and then you're not a leader when you let the emotions come into it. When you're disciplining, your leadership just goes out the window. And those things, I won't even talk about spanking, but yelling, most parents yell when they come to work with me. So yelling is something, you only do it because you don't know what else to do. And it does work in the short term, but it backfires down the road. And no one wants to yell. They just do it because it probably does work in the short term, but it will come back and bite you in the butt. So, good for you, Christina. I'm glad my advice has helped, but you've obviously put the work in. So congratulate yourself. Good for you. I love hearing that. That's why I do this. This is like a passion business for me. I started this 20 years ago, this company. Well, 19 years ago. And it's been rough, ups and downs. I was not popular for a very long time. I mean, I did a lot of TV and radio and all that because I'm different and people hated me because I wasn't following the pleaser parent style, right? Which is so trendy. I hate it. It's useless. And, but yeah, now people are coming on board. They're realizing that doesn't work. You're just raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. I'm generalizing, but that's what I used to always say. So now finally, I think people are coming around. You know where that pleaser style came in with? It came in about 40 years ago. I saw it coming and I thought we are in trouble. And it came in with participation awards. Yep, let's roll out the red carpet for you for doing squat. What a horrible message to send to kids. Anyway, enough about that. But my point is, I love what I do. I really believe in it. It's my legacy. When I'm gone, I hope this will my daughter will keep it going. Okay. When do you think coaching will open back up for new clients? I'm going to send some invoices out tonight. What happens? So I may have like 100 or 200 or more on my wait list. But what happens is a lot of those people get tired of waiting and they hire someone else, or they just buy my course. So yeah, that happens. The problem is, well, it's not a problem, but the reason why I'll go weeks sometimes without taking on a new client, it's because my previous or past clients rehire me repeatedly. So, and they always get first priority. So that's what happens. But I'm going to be sending out some invoices tonight. So hopefully, I don't know how far down you are, but anyway, I'm doing my best. But what'll happen is I'll send out some invoices. Some of them won't even pay because they said, oh, we are actually hired someone else. Or they might do that and then they might come back to me later anyway. That happens too. But whatever, I'm doing my best here. I didn't know how to manage that because the wait list got so huge last summer. I didn't know what to do. So I think it was my son who said, Mom, what you do is you just keep upping the price to manage the wait list. So I upped the price and then the wait list grew even faster. So I don't know quite what to do at this point, but I'm doing my best here. But here's my thought. Most of what I put out there, my daughter and I, what we put out is all free, so the coaching is just that sort of, that extra stuff that most people will never need or want. So, it's expensive. It's a big commitment. So, but most of what we put out is completely free. The podcast is free. That's where we go into most of the detail is in the podcast. Coaching is completely different. It's very personal, but the podcast is where we go into the most detail. And, but anyway, so yeah, you might never need coaching. I'm assuming most people won't. And I keep saying, I won't be coaching forever. I just do it because I love it. So, but anyway, yeah, most people, I don't think you need coaching, most people. So, okay. I'm going to read this out, and I'm going to tell you why I can't help you right now anyway. I'm a disabled mom. You had a stroke 3 months before my youngest was born. Really sorry to hear that. It's very hard to remove them as they're doing something bad. It takes a minute for me to get up. My oldest pulls from me, physically cannot hold him to bring him. Okay, I don't know how old they are though. It's really tough because when I do get disabled parents, and we have to figure stuff out. So I don't know your specific situation, what kind of support you have. I don't know the age of your kids, but if you can't physically get up, I work really hard on helping disabled parents connect with their kids so that when their kids are naughty, they can pull away that connection just slightly. They just sort of snub them a little bit and say, oh, I didn't like that, so I'm just going to go quiet for a minute. That can work with really little kids. That can work quite well. So that's sometimes all you've got or all you can manage, right? So I do have a client that worked really well with. But it's a lot of work, right? Kids are a lot of work, especially if you've got some disability and physically you can't get up as quick. That's hard. And you got to be fast with toddlers too. That's why that little bit of a snub. I hate that word snub, but you get what I'm saying? You're just pulling away a little bit. So your fun mom, we work on that connection, your fun mom, as soon as they do something you like, you say, oops, no. And then you just sort of get quiet and look away for a minute. It could just be 1 minute. That can be enough for a 2-year-old. That could be the punishment right there. You just got real quiet and looked away for a minute. Okay. There's usually one leader in the house, right? But it makes it extremely difficult when I'm the one mostly home and the other one's the leader, I'm guessing. 4 and 5. Okay. There is usually, you can have 2 leaders, but there's usually a very dominant leader. Like I was the dominant leader, right? But the other parent can use the leader as leverage. Say, well, I'll discuss that when you're with your dad when he gets home. So you're not saying your dad will take care of it. The dad will take care of it, but just we'll discuss it. Like we're on the same page. We're a team. Like I know I didn't want my husband to discipline the kids because I had tons of experience. He didn't want to do it either. He was thrilled with the kids' behavior. So he didn't want to have to worry about that. And I loved it. So I said, look, if you're ever out alone with them, just say, do you want me to tell mom if they ever get out of hand? And that's all he had to say. So do you want me to tell mom? And they'd go, nope. So, and I never even really did anything, but there's usually one real clear leader. So you only need one, and the other parent can use that one as leverage. But it's interesting because when people hire me, they often fight over who has to be the leader. Once they realize that role, because the leader is the one they tend to tell everything to right through the teen years, right? So then they realize they end up fighting over who gets to be the leader. So you can both be leaders, but there usually is one more dominant. That makes sense, right? And the leader is also, a real fun parent too. You're not the authority. There's no sternness or anything like that. There's no, I don't talk like that. If I'm disciplining, my tone of voice is like this. Oh, that was interesting. So I'll tell you what we'll do. That's how I talk when I'm disciplining. I get real quiet, just boring and quiet when I'm disciplining. The rest of the time I'm crazy and laughing or whatever, but I get very quiet. And it's like a business transaction. Disciplining to me is like a business transaction. Remove all emotions when you're disciplining. Okay, my son just turned 3 and now I'm lost on how to transition in parenting him. That's the behavior board. You go from consistent corrective actions with toddlers for disciplining, and then you go into the behavior board at 3 years old. So it's in my course. It's free. The behavior board is at the very top of my website, BratBusters.com. Actually, it's a good time to discuss that because I'm leaving now anyway. I'm going to Instagram. So I'll just introduce myself again as I'm leaving. What am I doing? My outro? Yeah, that's it. Anyway, so check out my website, BratBusters.com. At the very top, it's a black line and it's a blue box that says get access. That is the free behavior board. And it explains it all. It also has a toddler section in there. It's 2 mini courses, okay? One for toddlers, one for 3 and above. Anyway, that's all free. The bigger courses aren't. That's the boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers and one for older kids in there. Similar, it just goes into a lot more detail, obviously. And then coaching, I do have a big wait list, but I'll get to that eventually. And the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. and it's on all the platforms. I think our goal for the first year was 10,000 downloads, and we hit 1 million downloads in the first year. We're just so grateful. And that just says that what we're saying is of value to you, that it's making a difference. That's the way I view it anyway. So it must be helping people. And because I know a lot of it is word of mouth, right? So I just want to say thank you for that if you do listen to the podcast. And if you don't, then just keep watching here or whatever else, or move on to someone else, whatever. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Take care. Sorry, YouTube, I'm just pushing buttons now. Sorry, what am I doing here? They keep changing how you do this. There we go. Okay. So Dylan, I don't know if you're still here, Dylan. 19-month-old screams for 1 to 2 hours after bedtime routine. All needs are met, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know if they're still having naps. Maybe they're just not tired. Usually, that's unusual for a 19-month-old to cry for 1 to 2 hours. So maybe they cut back on the naps, maybe. That's just my first gut reaction. Could be something else, but okay. I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm on Instagram now, and I'm also on YouTube. That's who I was just talking to. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses, or you can sign up for coaching. It's a huge wait list, but I will get to it eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. It's a mother-daughter team in the business, and she does all the marketing and planning. I'm not really sure what she does, but she manages all that. Whenever someone says, "Oh, your daughter works for you," no, no, we very independent. She's in the company, and but yeah, it's more like I work for her. She does all the planning with the business. So anyway, what was I going to say about that? Oh, we do the podcast Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can submit questions. It's on the website for the podcast. And my daughter picks all that. Like if you want to submit questions, the only two places I answer questions is on live or in the podcast. She goes through those and we just pick and choose and answer them on the podcast. So. Oh, thanks for that, Anne. Okay. My 3-year-old says no to everything. How can I discipline that behavior? That's not a behavior. That's an attitude. Okay. Behavior is an action. So yeah, if they say no and they're still doing the right thing, then just whatever. I know my granddaughter's just kind of grown out of that, but she's just turned 2 and she just learned the word no a few months ago. And she would say, you could say, "Oh, hold my hand, we're crossing the street." And she'd say no, but she'd do it anyway because she knew it was going to be, you were going to grab her hand anyway. But yeah, her action was she still took your hand. So yeah, don't worry about the word no. It probably bothers you. That's why they do it, right? So yeah, it's the actions that you worry about, not the attitude. The attitude is a result of your parenting. So it just means they don't respect you. If they're saying no to you at 3 years old, it means they don't respect you because you work on your leadership skills. I'm not teaching kidding. I'm teaching parenting here. So we're not fixing kids. They're just a product of you. So if they're saying no to you, it means that you're not a leader yet. Just work on your leadership. That's all I teach here. My daughter bought me a mug warmer. It's made such a difference. I used to make a cup of tea and it would just sit there and go cold every time. Okay, I don't like this. I just don't. But I don't want to go on too much about it. This is from Beckby. Do you think physical consequences for a 3 and a 4-year-old boy are effective? Like if a consequence is doing sit-ups, push-ups, jumping in place, doing laps around the house. I don't like that. And I don't want to go on too much about it. I just don't like equating a physical fitness with a punishment. I just don't. So yeah, I just don't. But I don't want to go on too much. It's not horrible. I do have some clients who like doing it and they choose to do it. But But most of them who do that, I talk them out of it and they get better results in other ways, because I don't want them to think that physical is a punishment, that exercise is a punishment. It hits me in a different way too. It's almost like, I don't know. It's not physical punishment. It's not like spanking them or anything, but it sort of goes into that zone a bit for me. I can't quite explain it. I haven't figured out a good way to explain that. Yeah, I just don't like it. It's not horrible, but spanking I hate. But the physical stuff, it's not sit-ups, and that's not horrible, but I just don't like it. Oh, that's really sweet, D. Miller. Thank you for that. It just means you're doing the work. Good for you. If you want to know, I don't tend to want to talk about a lot of general stuff over and over again because I've done thousands of these lives. If you just go on my website and check, it was a few different places you can go, but if you go on my website and get my free behavior board, it has the basic stuff on there for 2 different ages, toddlers and then 3 and above. But also we have, we specifically did it for this reason. Well, my daughter made me do it. She organizes all this stuff. We did a 7-series podcast, and it's on YouTube, and it's on the playlist section of YouTube. And it's 7 podcasts that we filmed, and they were put out as podcasts, but then we bundled them all up together. We did 7 of them in 7 days. So that's why I said she made me do it. 7 podcasts in 7 days. And it's all the basic stuff. So if you want to know all the basics on how to be a leader, check that out. I just got fireworks on YouTube. Maybe it's because I was doing that. I don't know. But yeah, check that out if you're interested, and they probably, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can double speed it or whatever. And I think if you go on the platforms, don't they have transcripts if you're listening to it on Spotify or something? My daughter makes me listen to some of the podcasts. It's agony listening to yourself talk. It's torture, but it was funny because I did listen to one podcast ages ago, and I thought, wow, that was great. And then I listened to another one, and I thought, oh. So I don't know. You make your own decision if you like the podcast or not. It's just agony listening to yourself. Oh, I do like the one that's coming out. I think it's coming out this Thursday. I really like that one. It's coming out, this Thursday. I don't know if I can. And my daughter gets mad when I say too much because she goes, Mom, just stop. I just talk about everything whenever I'm doing a live because I don't have a filter. So I just let everything fly. And she goes, Mom, they don't need to know everything ahead of time. But anyway, it's a really good one. We love doing it, and it was something a bit different. Okay. Oh, good for you. Okay. This is from Jess. You just bought the course and you want to learn how to be a leader by working on yourself. Yeah, remember, we're not fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. You set yourself up as a leader and they respect you. I've worked with hundreds of kids and I always manage to get respect because it's all you. I always take responsibility for kids' behavior. If I was working with a kid who I only had for an hour a week, if they acted out under my care, just as a volunteer mentor, that's all I was. And if they acted out under my care, I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? Rather than blame the kid, they weren't even my kids. But rather than blame the kid, I took responsibility for their actions. So that's what a leader does. So if your kids are acting out, say, yeah, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? Always look to yourself. That's what leaders do. Would be like, it's probably a bad example, but in the military, I don't think they blame the soldiers. I think they blame the leaders, right? It's up to them to be a good leader and get the best out of everybody and keep everyone alive. Tip needed. This is on YouTube. I have a 23-month-old who hates brushing. So teeth, I'm assuming. Any of those on your podcast? I need a I don't know. I don't remember because we've done a lot of them now. Brushing your teeth. Yeah. Well, they could, a few different things you could try. I know my kids used to like standing in front of I had a little step stool and they'd stand in front of the bathroom mirror. They seemed to like looking at themselves. I remember buying, I don't know if this is still out there and I can't condone it at all, but it was, there's different obviously flavors of toothpaste. And then also there was one that was a bit different colored that they really liked for a while there too. So yeah, looking in the mirror seemed to help my kids. Also, I'd do anything. I'd use bribery to get kids to brush their teeth. Maybe you could just have a show that they only see on the iPad, or they only get to see your phone when they're brushing their teeth. So yeah, you could try stuff. A bit of bribery. I would do that. Can your teachings apply to nannying as well? Nannying or teaching? No. I guess you could glean some information, but I don't teach anything but parenting. It's a very different relationship from any other. That's why a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs, but they struggle with parenting. One is business. That's them. I'm personal. Parenting is personal. It's a very different relationship. Yeah, I'd use bribery with teeth brushing. Yeah. And also another thing I used to do with my kids, it wasn't my kids, it was some other kid. And some kid, I was probably babysitting or something. I would brush my teeth with them. So we'd make a song out of it, and I would brush my teeth in the mirror with them. So how long did it take you personally to get to a place of being a good leader? I was 11, and I was volunteering in a daycare center just because I loved kids. And I just always kind of did this. And yeah, I never felt I learned it. I just felt it was in there personally. And I remember the daycare ladies always put me with the challenging kids. And they would even ask me. I was an 11-year-old kid. And I was babysitting also on the side. And so after school, I'd go and volunteer at the daycare center, and then I would babysit, not at night because I was only 11, but during the day I would babysit. Or if it was summer, it would still be light out. So I wouldn't babysit it when it was dark out. But yeah, I remember the daycare ladies say, how do you do that? You're fun. They want to be with you, but they listen to you. I was a leader. So yeah, kids taught. Well, I kind of already had the idea in my head because I was always trying to figure out myself and other kids when I was growing up. And I just always kind of understood kids. And that's why, if you're taking advice from someone for parenting, I think they have to have these 3 criteria. They have to have found parenting easy. If they didn't, why would you take advice from someone who struggled? Doesn't make any sense. So they have to have been good at it and found it easy, right? The second one is they have to have worked with hundreds of kids, because I didn't learn much with my own kids. I was a leader from day one. It was all the other kids I worked with, okay? They're the ones who taught me everything. So they have to have found parenting easy and to have loved it. I loved it. It was the most fun time my whole life was parenting. And then the third one is they have to have finished the job, because if you haven't lived with teenagers, you kind of don't know what's coming. Things really shift and change in the teen years. So if you don't understand those teenagers and living with them, not just working with teenagers, but living with them, you kind of know how to set up things going into the teen years. So yeah, I wouldn't take advice from anyone without all that sort of experience and wisdom, because it is experience based. I've never read a book on kids or anything. Kids taught me all this. And they're the ones who said you should teach this too. It was all the teens I worked with. So you got to teach this stuff, Lisa. And 10 years after that, I did. Yeah, it's easy for people to shift the blame, but you taking accountability is a great takeaway. Thanks for that, because some parents will say, what do they say? Way to shame the parents. So you'd rather shame your kids and blame them? Like, I can't even understand that. My head won't even go there. You would rather blame your little innocent victim children for their behavior rather than you take the blame? I find that fascinating. So yeah, way to shame the parents. Okay. You're probably never going to want to watch me if you feel that way, because I'll never apologize for that. You want to take responsibility for their behavior. How else would you go about this, right? Can we drop nap time for 3-year-old? Yeah, my kids both stopped napping regularly at about 1. So, and they didn't sleep a lot at night either. They weren't super active kids, but they were just average kids, like activity wise. But yeah, they didn't need a lot of sleep. So, and they're all different, I mean, I often have naps now. I'm lousy. I'm up at like 3 or 4 a lot, and I go to the gym really early too. So yeah, I often nap now, but I'm 65, so you nap when you're little and you nap when you're old. And they're all different. I know one of my clients, I got to be careful with this. How do I word this now? Because I said one of my clients. Anyway, a lot of professionals have benchmarks, right? So pediatricians, doctors, whatever. They'll have, and teachers, but whoever works with kids, they'll have these benchmarks. Your kid should be crawling at a certain age, walking at a certain age, talking at a certain age, stopping naps at a certain age. They're just benchmarks. They're something to go by, but there's millions of exceptions to that. Like some kids don't walk or talk till they're I knew someone who didn't walk or talk till she was 3, very laid back. And then the mother always used to laugh and say on her 3rd birthday, she got up, ran, and never shut up. So she just was no rush to do it either. That's nothing wrong with her. I'm not saying that that's okay necessarily. I don't know, but it worked out fine for her. So, those are just sort of like these tent pegs that they sort of go by, but they're just more suggestions a lot of the time. They're not all walking at the same time. My son took his first steps on his 1st birthday, so he was 12 months old, and my daughter was 14 months old. So they're all different. Oh, my workouts. Yeah, I go to the gym every day. I do weight training. So, at my age, I never really got into weights before, but I was always a cardio monkey and really heavy cardio. Like I did a lot of it. And then about 4 years ago, I went to the gym. My son-in-law is my personal trainer and got me muscled up. And yeah, just good for as you get older, right? Well, for any age too, but as you get older, like if I took a fall, I might be able to not break a hip kind of thing. But I've always worked out every day, so it's just a lifestyle. It's not something I really go in with goals with. It's just my lifestyle. If I don't work out, I don't feel normal. So, and my daughter's the same. So, any suggestions on what to do when your 7-year-old doesn't do the consequences? Sometimes you haven't got my free behavior board. There's a backup consequence. So check it out. There's 2 consequences for the kids. One they have control over and the other one you have control over if they won't do the first one. You have to have 2 consequences for the kids. First one's a positive action. If they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation. That's when you take something away. Their choice, though. They chose that by not doing the first one. Well, they chose to have a first consequence. My kids learned really young, like at 3, that they were in charge of their own life. They learned that. So if they messed up, that was not my fault. It's their fault if they got a consequence. They understood that from a very young age. So yeah, they can learn this stuff. Why would they get mad at me because they made a mistake? Like it doesn't make any sense for them to get mad at you. Once you're a leader and they start to get this, right? Should grandparents follow this? Oh, grandparenting is completely different. Yeah. I always say, they're not your kids and you're not the leaders. And I teach leadership parenting, not leadership grandparenting. If you have full custody, then you're parent in the parenting role, right? That's different. But yeah, I always say grandparents is none of your business how your children raise their children. None of your business. Unless there's abuse, obviously you'd have to step in, call the police. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, that's none of your business. Yeah. And I can say that because I'm a grandmother, so. You talk about bragging with 8-year-olds. I'd need a specific example for that. Time is okay. Just got to keep an eye on the time here. Oops. Sorry, I'm scrolling because there's people come and go in these lives. So I want to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Okay. How many years will it be in 41 years? Oh, why did I read that? It was really funny. A couple of years ago, I used to do lives every single day. And I don't understand acronyms all the time. And one of them I read out loud and I went, what did that mean? And my daughter happened to have been listening. She doesn't usually listen to my lives. But anyway, she happened to have been listening and it was something filthy of it, like really rude. But I didn't know. And I kept talking about it. And my daughter, I think, sent me a text. Mom, stop talking about it. It's rude. Oopsie. So yeah, I got to learn. And usually I read a little bit ahead before I start reading out loud. That was funny. What does this mean? What is that? I don't get it. Could it mean this? I just never shut up about it until she texted me. I don't have a great answer, but I'm going to read it anyway because other parents probably would be interested in this too. My 19-month-old has started hitting himself and others. I usually say no and redirect him, but it doesn't seem to work or have lasting effects. Yeah, it does take a long time. They learn through repetition, not once or twice. It's repetition. But you got to be consistent. Okay, so if he's hitting and you don't step in, he'll remember that. They don't remember the times you did it right. They remember the times you didn't do it. Okay, so you got to be 100% consistent. That's why I say with the behavior board, he's not on the behavior board, he's too young. But the behavior board, we just pick one rule or one behavior per week. So one battle per week, perfect that one, then you can move on to the second one. So, but yeah, at 19 months old, it's going to take a while. So you just say no, and then I don't tend to redirect as much at that age. I just say no, and then I remove him from the fun or the fun from him. Redirecting I do with babies. Redirecting can be a form of reward because you don't usually redirect with broccoli, right? It's usually with something fun. So I'm pulling away from redirecting at 19 months old for sure. Okay, good question. And you're not going to like my answer, Amanda, because I'm assuming you're new here, because this is the one that gets me in the most trouble, which I love. I have a 16-month-old. When he's having a tantrum, how do I know when to try to give him comfort or help him calm down, as opposed to watching from the side until he calms down? I never comfort a tantrum, ever. They need to learn to pull themselves out of it. But he's still in the baby stage a little bit. Babies are like 0 to 15 months, and he's just in that gray area. So I might use a little bit of indirect redirection. So he's having a tantrum. I would tend to ignore it, but if it keeps going on, I might go over and sit sort of somewhere quietly and start to read one of his favorite books out loud to myself. The idea is he'll come over and join you. So you're not inviting him, so it's not direct redirection, but it's indirect redirection. So I might do that. If you feel he's going on for too long, you don't comfort a tantrum. What you're doing is you're saying, good tantrum, good tantrum. Yeah, it's a reward. Oh, I don't let anyone in on these lives. Some people ask, and I just don't. I only did it once, and it was a total disaster. It never happened again, I don't think, but that was the one where I think I had 26,000 people in the live. Someone big had shared it. I don't think they liked me that much because they never did it again. And that was fun. It was a lot of pressure. I was brand new at doing lives too. I think it was like my second or third live, and didn't know what I was doing. And I let someone come in on the live, and they just wanted the audience. They were trying to sell their stuff, and I didn't know how to get rid of them. So yeah, I've never let any. That was a few years ago now. It's funny. Okay, you said on YouTube, my 6-year-old is scared to sleep alone. Bedtime is always a circus. She'll beg to sleep with us or her sisters. Can I put that as a rule for the behavior board? Well, here's the thing. If she is truly scared, I would manage it differently. I would have I'd say, look, I got a camera in your room so we can see you, so we know you're okay. Another one would be I might have galaxy lights on the ceiling. I might use a sound machine. And my kids both went through that. They just said, oh, I'm scared. Is there a monster in my closet? So I said, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look under your bed, in the closet. I'm going to look everywhere. I'm going to look in all your drawers. Monsters are terrified of parents. I used to say they're terrified of me. Monsters are, and my kids believed whatever I said. Monsters are terrified of me. If they ever see me looking, they'll never come back. So I did that. And I opened up all the cupboards, the drawers, underneath the bed. Nope, no monsters. And they'll never come back because now they know I'm looking for them. And my kids were fine after that. I always sort of set myself up as having these superpowers. I won't go into it too much here, but I had a thing I used to do with my kids. And yeah, I always sort of set myself up. They weren't too sure what mom was capable of. Like, does she really have eyes in the back of her head? So I love all that stuff. Okay, so I've got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, you can check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. There's 2 of them, boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that's coaching. I'm sorry, I have a huge wait list, but I will get to that eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us, because we film ourselves. It's my daughter and I. She does all the marketing and all the planning. She kind of tells me what to do in the business. So anyway, I'm moving over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time, which is where I save all of my lives. Happy parenting. There's a lot of buttons to hit going to TikTok for some reason. I'm just tired tonight for some reason. I'm going to introduce myself first, and then I'm going to answer that question. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I've only got how many people in here? I can never tell. I don't know where to look. Oh no, I've only got 7. Wow, 7 people in here. 9. Oh right, TikTok's very slow to pull people into the live. It's my biggest platform, but it's the slowest one for lives. Okay, just waiting. Wow, it's almost 8 o'clock too. A lot of my clients are on the East Coast of the US, so it's a lot later there. Oh, thanks, Nat. Now my daughter got the podcast started about a year ago. She said, "Mom, we got to do a podcast." So she does all the planning. I thought we were going to write a book this year, but she didn't allow me to do that. And she also didn't allow me to do another course. I'll say to her, "You know what I want to do? Here's what we're going to do this year." And she goes, No, it's not in the plan, Mom. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I always try and sound like I'm in charge, but we all know I'm not. Okay. Okay, I'll introduce myself here. Okay, I got a few more people in here. Okay, so welcome to my live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have 2 of them. You can look into coaching. I apologize. The wait list is huge, but I will get to you eventually. And you can look into the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. Okay. Oh, good for you. Excellent. I appreciate that. It's from It's Rock and Rolla. Anyway, there's a question here on YouTube I wanted to answer. Let me try and find it now. Oh, okay. This is BLBIR. Okay. 4-year-old boy, no screens at all. So he doesn't have any screens. A lot of my clients don't use screens with their kids because it comes up a lot. What would be the best negative consequence in place of depriving him of 24-hour media blackout? So you're not depriving him of 24-hour media blackout. You're depriving him of media. I said that to one of my clients, and they said that's a double entendre. Is that what that means? So yeah, I said the exact same thing, and they corrected me. Anyway, so yeah, if you don't have screens, there's usually one favorite toy or one favorite activity that you can take away. But I would never take away love. Like I wouldn't, if he has like a play date with a friend, I would never take that away. Or connection. I don't take connection away really. Like I wouldn't take away reading at night in bed with them, bedtime stories. So there's certain things I would never take away. But what I would do is, let's say he has like a sweet treat at night or something, I would take that away. I would say, okay, so no cookie after dinner or ice cream after dinner if you usually do it. So yeah, usually take a favorite activity away, a favorite toy away for 24 hours. I won't get into inventing leverage. If you've seen me before, if you want to know more, you can literally Google BratBusters, any topic. And I've got thousands of videos, tons of podcasts out there with all sorts of information in there. The reason why I don't always want to address questions is because a lot of the same ones come up, and I can't hear myself talk after a while if I just keep repeating the same answers. So there's certain things I just can't say anymore. One is that pool story. The pool story actually is my favorite. It's not my favorite. There's another one that's my favorite, but I only tell it in coaching, just because it's kind of a bit hard. It's like the pool story, but just on steroids. It's a bit harsher. So anyway, the pool story is a really good place to land if you want to know about leadership parenting. You can just Google BratBusters pool story and it'll come up. And it's all about how I deal with bad behavior, but then how I always focus on the good kid. My goal is always that kids like themselves when they're with me. And I always want to make them feel good. The reason is when they feel good, they do good. And when they feel bad, they do bad. That's why I never discuss bad behavior, because that makes them feel bad. Why would I do that to a child? I deal with bad behavior. Here's your consequence. You made a bad choice. It's over now. Done. So check out the pool story if you're new here, or if you haven't seen it. But I can't tell that story again. I've told it thousands of times. I just can't do it. 16-month-old babbles, but no talking. Some of them don't talk till they're 3. So they're all different. If you're really concerned about, how they're coming along, go see a pediatrician or a medical practitioner of some sort. But yeah, some kids don't talk till they're 3. My 4.5-year-old is extremely strong-willed, which actually is a good trait. I don't know what to do. I'm depleted. What is normal and what isn't? A strong-willed just means that they're strong. It's not a bad trait. What you mean is they're disrespectful. Okay. So work on your leadership, and they tend to respect a leader. It's all you. They're just reacting. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is a direct result of your parenting. So if they're acting out or being disrespectful, it's you. Work on yourself, earn the respect you want. Okay. You don't demand it, you command it. So just work on yourself. That's all I'm teaching here. You can go on my website to learn more about all the basic. I do have we did 7 podcasts in 7 days. I think we did it in November and we put it out there. And it's all the basic information. It's on YouTube, and you can just look up the playlists and it's on there. It's 7 podcasts, and it's all of our basic information. I should look up and see what that looks like. I don't even know. My daughter does all that stuff. Let me see here. I don't even know how to look it up. How do you look up BratBusters? Oh, you type in BratBusters. Sorry, just a sec. Okay. So it says there's a section on podcasts, so you can look that up. Oh, is that right? Oh, I don't even understand how does that work? I thought the podcast, just a sec. Oh, the podcast is videos, but then there's another section that says podcast. I don't understand that. But then if you go in playlists, that's where it will have, oh, that's even different. What? Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, here it is. Calm Leadership Parenting Series. There you go. There you go. Okay. Useless. So on YouTube, it's BratBusters Parenting. It's in the playlists, and it's called Calm Leadership Parenting Series. And there are 7 videos. It's all the basic information with this, okay? All the leadership parenting basic information. I actually listened to them all. She made me. I listened to them all. I'm happy with them. Please say again. YouTube thing? Oh, well, I'll just repeat it again in case that's what you're talking about. If you go on YouTube and you look up BratBusters Parenting, and then you go in my playlists section, it's called Calm Leadership Parenting Series, and there are 7 videos. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. And there's one on foundation and core concepts of calm leadership. The second one is why connection and fun with your kids is so important. It's way more important than discipline. Number 3 is discipline basics and staying calm during the storms. Number 4 podcast is handling the parenting chaos, tantrums, whining, and more. Number 5 is moving past the overwhelm, the toddler parenting guide. And then the 6th one is 3-year-old transition and height of calm leadership parenting. Oh, okay. So you transition from toddler to 3-year-old. And the last one is raising confident problem solvers. There you go. That's the 7 series. I'm really happy with them, actually. My daughter, she did all that work. I had ideas, but she never uses my ideas. She's better at all that stuff than I am. What makes it, okay, the reason, well, she does all the marketing and planning, but the reason why it comes up in the podcast a lot, when we're doing a podcast, she is your voice. Because often I've never struggled with parenting or kids. It came easy to me. I was volunteering in daycare centers at 11 and babysitting. I was always a leader with kids. So I don't know where you're coming from. She does. She gets it. So that's why it's such a good partnership, because she's your voice. So she knows what you need to hear, whereas I sometimes miss the boat. With clients, of course, we're back and forth, so I figure it out pretty quick. But when I'm just talking generally, I tend to talk from my position. Yeah, but she keeps it more real. I just realized Tabitha hasn't turned up tonight on YouTube. She's usually here, so she's real regular. She has little kids. Okay. Is there a visual chart provided for your behavior board that we can print out? I don't think so. You don't need to do that anyway, because no, there shouldn't be, because you want to draw it up in big. You want to do a big poster board, right? And just keep it simple. The behavior board is just for everyone 3 and above, you included. If you're not on that behavior board, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator. So you have to be on the behavior board. Like, your rule is, if you yell, your rule is no yelling. Every time you yell, you have to do something nice for the kids, right? So it's just rules and consequences for everybody. So if my rule was no yelling, my consequence would probably be I have to play hide and seek for 10 minutes or something if the kids are little. Something that I wouldn't normally do, but they love. So, yeah. Any tips for poor grades with teens? I can't give any general information about that because I don't know what's going on with your teens. And you can use incentive with grades. You can use screen time as a little bit of a lure. Like, say, sure, as soon as you've done your homework, and make sure that you're in the room with them when they're doing it so you can see the screen. Because often when they're on the computer, I remember years ago, I told a client, I said, make sure that you're in the room when they're on the screen. But she couldn't see the screen. The teens were just sitting there gaming the whole time, she found out later. So they have to be able to see the screen, right? So yeah, make sure you can see the screen. I do have some things that I do. There's a lot more give and take with teenagers, a lot of negotiating. So like a lot of teenagers can't do homework. My son was like this. He literally could not do homework without music blaring. And so why would I stop that? He was a great, he got good grades and all that. So why on earth would I stop that? I can't do that. I can barely think at all, but thinking with music on, I couldn't do it. But he's like that. He multitasks all the time. He's always got everything's playing on full. He's 36 now, but everything's playing double speed, and he can still hear everything. He can hear Eminem when he's rapping really fast. I can't hear anything. I can't even make up Michael Bublé when I'm listening to music. But anyway, so some people, their teenager might need music on, but you don't want them gaming when they should be doing homework. And then say, sure, as soon as you've done your homework, then you can have, an hour of gaming or whatever. So you can use a lot of negotiating with teenagers. Actually, I'll read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. They're my favorite age, by the way. I started my business coaching parents with teen crisis going on. I love teenagers. They're the most complex, that's why. Okay. My top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Okay. Number 2, negotiate as much as possible. I was just sort of talking about that. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Give and take, reciprocity, right? Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? In other words, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, just like you did and just like you do. Okay. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. Parents will often say, when do we discuss the bad times? When they drove us crazy for 2 years? And I say, never. There's never a time to discuss the bad times. You can deal with bad behavior, but you don't discuss the bad times. What's the point? I think the reason parents want to do that is a form of revenge. They want to get it off their chest. And I say your revenge is when your kids grow up and have teenagers of their own and complain to you. And you can just sit back and go, that's a shame. That's the revenge. It's a slow burn, but that's all you're going to get. Okay. Number 5, you can be a right fighter with teenagers, or you can be happy. Can't be both. Okay. Oftentimes, even if they know they're wrong, and they're not always wrong, sometimes you are. Even if they know they're wrong, they'll still die on that hill. They'll fight with you, but only if you're gonna fight back. So if they say something ridiculous and you both know they're wrong, I would just say, yeah, we'll just talk about it later, or let's just forget it. But don't say, we'll talk about it later when you've calmed down. That's an accelerator, and it's very rude. No one would like to be talked to like that. It's just rude. Can you imagine your partner saying, yeah, we'll talk about it later when you've calmed down? See how it's passive aggressive, right? It's an insult. Bum, 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 bum. Sorry, I'm just scrolling to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Is it ever too late to become a leader for your kids? It's harder in the teen years, but it's, you want to pass over some of that leadership torch to them too, right? So it's different. It does shift and change. Have you and your daughter ever had disagreements on parenting? Well, she's not a parent yet, and my son has a little girl, but it's none of my business how my kids parent. Or you mean, are you Lisa Bunnage? Yes, I am. Yeah. Anyway, we don't tend to argue. We're both reasoners. We reason things out. And I'll be honest, when we do disagree, it's rare that I'm the right one. Because I think before I talk before I think, and she doesn't. She's very reasonable and calm. And so, yeah, if we ever disagree on anything, it's usually me. I'm usually like, I'll say, no, I'm sure that's right. And she'll go, Mom, think about it for a second. I'll go, yeah, oh yeah, you're right. And I'm very quick to roll over and go, yeah, you're right. So no, we don't tend to argue at all. I could count on one hand the times we argued, and even then they weren't really arguments. We talk things through. We're both reasonable people. Like, we talk everything through. That's how we get. And we have very similar values in that too. Yeah, sometimes I wish I had the ability to think before I talk, but I trust myself enough. I'm a good person. I'm not going to say anything horrible. That's the way I view it. But yeah, I don't tend to have that filter. And my daughter filters like a lot. She thinks before she talks. And yeah, I don't seem to have that ability. So, and we're all different, right? But I don't have much to hide, so it's not like I'm like, what you see is what you get. So plus they say, I'm 65 now, and they say that alcohol and age are truth serums. They say, oh, he's a grumpy old fart. He always was grumpy. He's just that you don't tend to hide stuff anymore as you get older. But my mom used to say that. She goes, he was always grumpy. He's just an old grump now. But yeah, you don't hide stuff as you get older. Not as, you don't tend to bother. Don't care as much what people think. Something I told my kids too, and I think it's a good life lesson to tell kids. I told my kids, I said, I've been like this my whole life. If I walk into a room full of strangers, I always think, I hope I like someone in there. It would never dawn on me to think, I hope they like me. It just never, even as a kid, I never had that. And the reason is that I don't care if people like me. Like, you're either going to like me or you're not. And I was never going to change so I would be more likable to you, right? You're either going to connect with someone or you're not. So I used to tell my kids that. I used to say, never change who you are to be liked by someone, because there's either a connection or there isn't, right? So it's not that I've always entered a room with a lot of confidence, and it's because I'm excited to meet people. So it can come across as arrogant at times, I've been told, but I just have no filter. Like, I don't care what people think, but it's because if they don't like me, it's usually mutual, right? So the connection, it's either going to be there or it isn't. So you can't force that. So why would you worry about it, right? I don't expect everyone to like me. I could care less. I think that's it. I don't care. But I told my kids that. And whether or not they adopted that all the time, it's hard. If it doesn't come naturally, like it always did to me, it's probably harder to adopt. But I think they kind of carried that through life a bit. It's usually mutual if you like someone or you don't. Yeah, that's true, Amanda. It's always about finding the right connection. And if it's not there, there's no reason to force it. Exactly. But be a good person. Like, don't walk in and be a jerk. Just be friendly, be open and nice. And people are either going to like you or they're not. That's okay. It's okay not to be liked. I think kids get in a lot of trouble trying to be liked. That's why they do the wrong thing. They're very influenced by, the kids who are going astray because they want to be liked. That's a real dangerous attitude to have as a kid, or even as an adult too, right? Is going against your own values to be liked. I think that's why I really drove that point home with my kids. I just realized this has stopped working. Interesting. My timer is broken. Oh, it has a battery. I didn't know that. Oh, it has batteries. Duh. Not the brightest bulb. Because I thought, why is that not moving? Okay, back to the question. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, I like this question. This is Verusia from Alaska. I have 4 littlies. My second oldest is having a lot of self-esteem issues. She's 6.5. I have a hard time connecting with her. What are some quick wins that would help with that? Your connection will help. Now, when I say connection, what I mean by that is when you play with someone in their world and you enjoy their company, it increases their self-esteem. Also, don't praise her for what she's good at. Praise her for what it takes pride in. So let's say she's really good at math, but she hates it. I wouldn't praise a kid for that. But let's say she's really lousy at drawing, but she loves it and she takes pride in it. That's what I focus on. That builds self-esteem. Your connection and enjoying her company in her world will help it. And also praising her for what she takes pride in. Those are 2 quick wins you can get with self-esteem. And there's a million other things. That's what this is all about. It's about self-esteem. My goal is always that kids feel good about themselves when they're with me. That's the pool story. If you Google BratBusters pool story, it'll come up. Isn't that stupid that I didn't know that had batteries? Isn't that the dumbest thing? God, I'm stupid sometimes. I'm going to get the giggles about that. I can just tell. That's typical dope. I'm just so stupid sometimes. Why is this battery operated thing not working anymore? I don't get it. The dope. Anyway, self-esteem. Anyway, there's a lot of things you can do. It's a very layered topic that I can go on about. It comes up a lot in coaching, but you don't need coaching just for that. It's usually making her feel good about herself in her own world. Also, one other thing I will point out, a lot of times they're stuck. Okay, school's a very small pool to pull from. So let's say she has very low self-esteem because she doesn't have very many friends and maybe no one likes her at school, whatever. That can happen, right? Maybe they're usually in one class, 20 to 30 kids. What are the odds are you might not meet a best friend in that class, right? So what I suggest you do is get your kids in as many outside activities as possible. Like put them in dance, put them in something else, but go outside of your area because they often run into the same kids. So if they go to play soccer in your area, which often they have to do it that way anyway, but I try and put them in classes that are not in your suburb or whatever, so that they'll meet different kids, and that can increase their self-esteem too by meeting other people. Do you work with parents who have kids with autism? Yeah. It's only coaching, right? It's more specialty stuff. What books do you recommend for parents? I've never read one or written one, so I don't know. Kids taught me all this, so I wouldn't have a clue. And I invented all this stuff. So yeah, I still can't believe it. Would anyone else not think of that? Am I that dumb? That other people must think that way too, that I forgot that stupid thing. What are your thoughts on secure attachment style? It's not my language, so I don't comment on it. I've never used that term. So yeah, I don't comment on things I don't teach or know about. Do you know what I mean? I don't critique other people's methods. Unless I come up, like a lot of stuff that comes up in coaching, I will critique. Like, what is it? The 3 things I hate that are really commonly used. 3 discipline methods that I can't stand that are really common. The one I can't stand the least, so it's not the worst, it's timeout. I hate timeout. Can't stand it. It's stupid. It's mean. I hate it. You go sit in a corner, you think about what you did. They're just sitting there feeling like crap. It's just, and then you go and talk to them about what they did afterwards too. It's horrible. It's nasty. Imagine if you made a mistake at work and your boss said, you go sit in the corner for 5 minutes. It's humiliating. Anyway, timeout I can't stand. The one that's a bit worse is diversion. It's fine with babies, but you never divert with broccoli. You always divert with candy or something. So diversion is a reward for bad behavior. The worst one is the countdown. This is if they're doing something naughty and you want them to stop. And you say, I'm going to count to 3. You better stop hitting your little brother. Well, in that 3 count, he's going to pound his little brother way harder. Then he breaks when you get to 3. And then there's no consequence for him beating up his little brother. It's a mixed message. It's okay to be rotten and violent for 3 counts, but not after that. It's a fear-based parenting method because you don't want to deal with him. So you're just hoping he'll stop. Well, I'm going to count 1, 2, 2.5. So that's the worst one is that one, the countdown method. You do the same thing. So you're as stupid as I am. I do so many things like that. It's unreal. Unreal. And then I get the giggles. You know what my daughter does? She hasn't done it in a while, but she's done it a few times now. I think she gets, we're kind of dopey sometimes, like just because we're talking and, she opens car doors into her head, trying to get into it. This is as an adult. So yeah, we all have things like that, right? She told me about it. I didn't see the first time she did it. She told me about that. I said, well, how do you open a car door into your head? She goes, I don't know. Sure enough, I was with her one day. Bonk. I live for stuff like that. I just love it. What do you recommend instead of timeout? Everything else I talk about. Okay. You can go on my website at the very top at BratBusters.com, the free behavior board. That's the training wheels with all this stuff. But I recommend if you're new to BratBusters and you want to know what it's all about, check out the pool story. You can Google BratBusters pool story and it explains how I treat children. I deal with bad behavior, but I focus on the good kid. I'm always trying to pull the good out of them, right? I put all my energy into the good traits, not the bad ones. I deal with them, but it's fast. I get it over and done with. Okay, you're not going to like my answer, but I'm going to read out your question anyway. How can I help my son saying no with attitude? He's 3 years old. His attitude is on you. You've trained him to do that because you're not a leader. He doesn't respect you. Work on your leadership skills and he'll stop with the attitude. The attitude is just a byproduct of your lack of leadership. That's all it is. Once they respect you, they don't talk like that to you. Not past the age of 3. At toddlers, they will, but not at the age of 3. Oh, teeth grinding during sleep cause, that's a dental doctor question. I don't know. I'm not a dentist. Can you put time out as their consequence, but you were sitting with, no, because sometimes you do, like you might say, okay, so you were hitting another kid at the park, so you're going to sit on the bench with me for 5 minutes. So that's appropriate, but you're not putting it time out on the board like that, no. And it's not time out. Time out is done alone. This is just time away from the activity with you. They're not alone, they're with you. So that's when you're connecting, but you don't do it like that. But it's a legitimate question. You would think I would say yes to that, but no. Sometimes I'll do it, but I wouldn't put it on a board. Do you have any tips for potty training? No, it's a whole system. I've got a whole system on how you potty train, and you have to buy one of the courses to get that system. I have a client. Oh, did they do it over the weekend? I think they were doing it over the weekend. So I'm looking forward to talking to them this week. Anyway, I got to get going and put batteries in this thing. So, because it requires batteries to run. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. I'm just getting the giggles over this. Free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. I apologize. The wait list is huge, but I will get to that eventually. or you can look into the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday. And then we save it on YouTube if you want to watch that. Also, check out my YouTube channel at BratBusters Parenting and go in the playlist, and they'll have the 7 Calm Leadership Parenting series. And it's all the basic information. It's 7 podcasts that we filmed in 7 days. And it's all the basic information. A lot of people have got, like, they don't, I send people there on the wait. If you're on the wait list for coaching, just go check out that podcast series. You might not even need coaching because you might have to wait months to get to talk to me. And I hate keeping you waiting, but that 7 series, I think that has a lot of information in there, or my courses. Okay. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again when I have time. Happy parenting. Bye now.